So, Assalamualaikum and a very good evening. Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight, architects, lecturers, and fellow students. My name is Hanisa, and along with my friend Iman Hakim, we will be your MCs for tonight. So this evening we have Hazwan Husain, our graduating student from BSc 08 Tech Studio. So welcome Hazwan, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, so tonight Hazwan will be walking us through the design process of his project for his final semester, the Embassy of Safety. But before we start our event, I would like to call upon Afif to recite the prayers.
Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma ghfir lana dhunubana wal ikhwanina allazina sabaquna bil iman wa la taj'al fi qulubina ghillan lil ladzina amanu. Rabbana innaka ra'ufur rahim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
Okay, thank you Afif. So we don't want to waste any time. So without further ado, I'll pass the mic to Hazwan.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. So my name is Hazwan. I'm from the SC08 Tech Studio. Rasa ramai dah kenal sebab semua mesti dalam ni pun is from Akisa and our lecturers. And I also would highlight nak express my gratitude to the lecturers yang join juga malam ni. Saya nampak ada Cik Embong, Cik Adani and my ex-supervisor Mr. Munir and others lecturer juga. So inshallah tonight I will be presenting my BSc 08 punya works which is the Embassy of Safety, and at the same time kalau ada masa lebih we'll proceed with Q&A and also my past experience of competition works. Sebab hari tu Cik Asin pernah ada minta I share my experience of joining competitions throughout my BSc years. So if ada masa nanti I will briefly will show you some of my competition works. So let me share the screen first. Okay, nampak ke?
Nampak?
Okay. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My project is entitled the Embassy of Safety. Okay, but first of all, my content for this design ni akan banyak masa at the first half ni saya akan banyak explain my concept and also all of the process yang I've gone through towards having that finalized my product. But maybe it's quite lengthy because I need to show some of the research that I have done. So on the next part baru I akan sentuh on specifically on my design lah, the final design scheme that I have submitted for our projects. So first of all, I start dengan our studio brief which is entitled the Corporate Innovative and Exhibition Hub. So dalam brief ni kami diberi pilihan untuk select either two of the category of the client which is automotive dengan fashion. So kami ada list brand automotive yang ada and then ada list untuk the brand fashion juga. And the issues that were highlighted in this brief is about the sustainability, brand identity and also technology innovation. And below here you can see all of the listed limitation lah untuk our project, which is only limited to 2,500 square meter, the total GFA, 2 story dengan 2 acres punya site. So what is apa sebenarnya this Corporate Innovative and Exhibition Hub? So ni antara the programs yang di-highlightkan dalam the brief tu, which is it needs to have an administrative punya program, research, creative and innovative department, business and exhibition, and also services. So ini adalah contoh-contoh gambar yang diberi dalam brief tu, and then also the important keyword yang saya dah highlightkan, which is yang ada dalam brief. And actually, okay lah, ni macam tips for everyone yang I have learned throughout my competition punya experience. Bila kita first kali dapat brief, kita kena ada that skill of try to anticipate what does the brief want. And the first day yang masa saya dapat brief ni, apa yang saya buat is I try to anticipate what actually the brief want. So kita buang semua macam the glorious punya words, kita buang semua the bombastic punya keyword ni, kita try simplify kan, and then kita akan dapat satu benda yang betul-betul kita rasa this brief nak, which is in this case, this brief is requires a showroom, which is a place to exhibit your product and to promote the brand of the client. Tapi in this case, maybe we need to take it in another level lah. Macam it needs to be something yang very iconic, yang very eye-catching, yang boleh translate that brand tu. Tapi in the end, memang betul yang saya nampak our studio punya progress, memang kita really inclined towards producing a showroom, which is a place to exhibit the brand itself lah dengan the product. So along with my discussion with few tutors, and I've also discussed with my previous supervisor, which is Encik Munif. So we have saya try untuk macam cari apa sebenarnya, macam mana saya boleh lari daripada this typical convention of a showroom. So macam kita tahu showroom ni is a place untuk orang exhibit benda, and one of the important weakness of a showroom is that it is a freezing punya place. There's no activity. People only come when they need to buy something or they need to look something. And especially at this time, showroom ni ataupun any retail punya spaces sekarang ni tengah berhadapan dengan existential crisis tau. Sebab yalah, kita dah start ada banyak macam apa online shopping. So people, diorang akan buat research dulu sebelum dia nak beli barang. Diorang takkan macam sesaja datang lepas tu terfikir nak beli, diorang terus beli. Especially kalau untuk fashion maybe macam tu lah lagi, sebab dia involve skill yang kecil. Tapi for automotive, memang kalau kita nak beli kereta pun, kita takkan terus pergi kat showroom tu tengok kereta apa yang kita pilih. Kita mesti akan buat research dulu and then pergi showroom just untuk test drive je. So how can we macam redefine the experience of a showroom? So that's why I proceed dulu dengan introducing my client, which is client yang saya dapat adalah Volvo. So yang artwork yang nampak dekat kanan tu gimmick je. Nanti after all of this presentation, nanti saya akan explain one by one all of my artworks. So the first masa kita tengah berebut tu, saya memang ada tendensi untuk pilih Volvo. Sebab saya ingat ada dalam satu advertisement dekat YouTube ni, which is advertisement ni it's quite interesting sebab dia introducekan bukan produk Volvo tapi apa vision of Volvo. So this is the excerpt from previous Volvo punya poster advertisement. So as you can see here, they have some kind of macam a similarity between all of this advertisement. So which Volvo really emphasize on the safety features of their products. So this is another macam propaganda punya poster lah, like they really wanted to convey the idea of their cars ni is a really safe cars for people to believe to the customers. So I inclined to macam nak tackle more on the safety punya identity of Volvo sebab benda tu yang diorang memang tekankan. So I start my research by macam carilah apa yang Volvo pernah buat, and this is the timeline yang all of the important safety punya produk yang diorang dah keluarkan. And yang paling, I think yang paling efektif, yang paling dominant sekali is the introduction of 3-point safety belt, which is Volvo lah, engineer or the company yang invent seatbelt yang kita pakai hari-hari tu. So masa at the early stage of their invention ni, they just release the design patent tu to their competitors. So macam diorang tak jual pun that design patent, they just release it to another car manufacturers. And as we all know, macam hari ni pun almost all of the countries dah regulate kan, all cars need to have this seatbelt design. So macam apa, Volvo punya sumbangan to the safety innovation ni memang sangatlah besar lah. And it's not just on the seatbelt semata-mata, tapi dah banyak lagi the major breakthrough yang diorang dah discover or yang diorang dah pernah invent. So this is the philosophy and vision of Volvo. The philosophy yang diorang pakai is a Swedish word which is omtanke, to think again. Like everything yang diorang buat or yang diorang design, diorang akan fikirkan these 3 things lah, which is the value of life, macam providing a very humanistic punya design towards their customers, and also reflecting the norm, which is they are trying to redefine how the conventional ways of things works in all of the innovations. And also the vision is the aiming for zero, which is diorang punya aim is a very ambitious dream for a car manufacturer, which is they don't want anyone to be killed or seriously injured in a new Volvo cars. So aiming for zero is they want to have zero death and also zero injury towards their users. So this is the quote by co-founder of Volvo: "Cars are driven by people. The guiding principle behind everything we make at Volvo therefore is and must remain safety." So the image yang saya tunjuk ni is one of the main efforts of Volvo untuk provide a safe automotive product to their customers, which is this is a crash test experiment, a test to untuk macam nak check the durability and the rigidness of the car before it's been sell lah. So Volvo kalau tengok dalam comparison in between the car manufacturer, Volvo dia memang among the top lah yang buat this crash test. And not just that, not just on the crash test series, ada banyak lagi ongoing punya efforts yang Volvo tengah buat, which include a million more campaign. A million more ni is yang advertisement saya cakap tadi tu. It is an advertisement campaign untuk collect all of the data or all of the experience of orang yang pernah terselamat with the yang pakai seatbelt tu. So macam kalau ada orang yang diselamatkan oleh seatbelt masa accident, so orang tu automatically akan terhutang budi with Volvo punya invention. So they are trying to collect all of those names and the identity untuk promote their brand of the safety tu. And also equal vehicles for all. Baru ni dalam, I think in 2016, they released almost 100 of research papers towards all of their competitors and the general public. So you all can go to volvocars.com and you can see they have their own database of all of the tests yang diorang dah buat selama 40 tahun. It is free for the public sebab diorang memang their noble intention is to have is safety for all. Macam diorang nak bagi everyone should have the needs or the safety features yang diorang dah develop ni lah. And then the extensive punya safety R&D. And dalam gambar ni nampak ada trolley, but it is not just parang trolley je. Actually trolley ni Volvo sekarang ni tengah develop kereta yang autonomous. So they are trying to implement that autonomous features into a trolley cart untuk tengok macam mana untuk study the turning radius or macam mana how the autonomous punya features tu akan works lah. So this is the image of the crash test series yang Volvo dah buat, which taken place at Volvo Safety Center in Gothenburg, Sweden. So as you can see on the right here is all of the data, all of the statistic yang Volvo dah jalankan for their crash test. At least they will have one full scale punya crash test per day, and per year their milestone is to have 450 full scale punya crash test. So maksudnya memang sehari tu akan at least akan ada satu ataupun lebih. And for cumulatively sekarang ni dah banyak research yang diorang buat, almost involve 40,000 cars in total, and the safety center ni dah operate almost about 20 years. Tapi safety center ni consider baru sebab sebelum ni pun Volvo dah buat at the yang oldest punya ni lah, safety center. And also Volvo dia ada satu a very dedicated team, it is called Volvo Accident Research Team, di mana diorang kalau ada kereta Volvo kemalangannya, dia akan terus turun ke tempat kejadian tu lah untuk buat their own research and analysis. So ni yang saya cakap dia, the 100 research papers released to the public in 2016. So I study first sebab I think the crash test series ni adalah yang the dominant important aspect of Volvo punya effort yang saya boleh ketengahkan in this design. So I try to study the process of the crash test. So I have simplified the process into 9 steps, which I retrieved from the PDF of the case study for Volvo Safety Center ni. So they have this 9 series of process untuk jalankan the crash test to every day. So as you can see here, ada 2 linear track yang intersect at one building. So yang the first track ni is a static track, di mana dia akan movekan satu kereta untuk berlanggar dengan kereta lain yang dekat dalam ni. And as you can see here, the another track ni, it is a rotatable track. Track ni dia boleh rotate untuk dapatkan the different angle of collision in between the cars tu. So macam my initial punya idea, I would like to implement this kind of mechanism in my design, but I think it's not feasible lah untuk dijalankan dekat site ni sebab satu dia akan perlukan a very long punya linear track, which is the site punya limitation yang kami ada tu tak mampu untuk cater the spatial punya dimension. So nanti akan ada few of the studies yang saya buat untuk try to realize of having this crash test untuk dijalankan in my hub. So the big question is that macam based on the data yang saya dah provide tadi, I can conclude that Volvo is an ambassador of automotive safety. So the keyword of an ambassador is that they must have the vision, the admittance of their process, the ongoing progress and process, and also the result. So inilah yang akan jadi the core of my building, which is to promote the Volvo punya identity as ambassador of automotive safety. It is not that macam kan saya cakap tadi masa awal, the conventional problem we have with the typology of showroom is that it is static. People just show their product and orang akan datang untuk try. Tapi apa yang saya nak bawa in this project is that we are building a cycle of the brand trust. So all 4 of the categories, the character of the ambassador is embedded into the functional program, which is the vision, the admittance and awareness, result, progress and process. So all of this would complete the cycle of brand trust untuk the public to view Volvo as an ambassador of automotive safety. Or in simple words, senang kata lah kan, dia macam nak menaikkanlah Volvo punya martabat ni, ataupun nak bring the noble effort of Volvo ni kepada the public, so that diorang akan dapat the awareness, and awareness tu akan contribute to Volvo punya vision of zero death and zero accident. So hence I came up with the concept or the narrative of the Embassy of Safety, which is a physical manifestation of an ambassador. So the ambassador ni is benda yang very intangible, yang orang tak boleh nak nampak. Tapi the physical outcome, which is the architecture itself, is the physical manifestation of their identity. So, okay, dalam apa-apa design, ni yang saya pegang lah. Design must be there to solve or to improve an issue. Kalau design you tak improve or design you tak solve an issue, then what is the point of having your design being put in the middle of nowhere? So, apa yang saya buat next is that I try to study some of the important issues regarding automotive safety in Malaysia specifically. So macam kita tahu memang dekat Malaysia ni memang famous lah. Dekat surat khabar pun banyak keluar. So saya study the data, and memang betul based on the source of Ministry of Transportation, semakin in this past decades ni memang kita nampak the total road accident memang menaik lah dekat Malaysia. And the supporting punya figures ni supports the argument untuk kenapa perlunya ada this kind of building yang nak raise awareness on automotive safety. And macam sekarang ni pun maybe in year 2020 tak kita nampak penurunan dari graf tu, tapi ya sebab pandemik kan, orang tak boleh keluar. Tapi I think when things come to the normal balik, this is a serious issues lah yang we need to cater for. So macam kat sini kita nak tengok the statistik yang saya dapat daripada WHO is that 3,700 people die globally per day disebabkan oleh road accident. So it is a very serious issues for us to raise an awareness to the public. So I start first with identifying what are the potential that this site have. Okay, tapi actually saya sebenarnya sejujurnya lah, saya tak berapa suka this proses sebab dia macam kita selama kita buat design, kita dah ada brief dulu, and then brief tu pun dah ada site, tapi kita try nak macam nak force the concept to into the site. Sometimes it can work, but sometimes it is really hard untuk kita try bawa things together. Sebab I think the most macam hari tu yang kita dah dengar kan, Mr. Kevin cakap like we are in the age of creative empowerment where people just build what they want to build so that it can macam jadi very benda yang gah lah basically. Kita tak consider benda jiran. So apa yang saya buat, saya try untuk study what is the potential. So macam dekat sini adalah things yang saya highlightkan, which is the mass pedestrian volume, the mass traffic volume. Sebab kat sini my site is located at Bukit Bintang. This is the Jalan Raja Chulan. Memang jalan besar, about 4 to 5 lane if I'm not mistaken. So this site bears a strong potential lah untuk spread the message of awareness. Cumanya kalau sebetulnya lah, kalau nak dibuat totally this project, I don't think that this site should be selected by Volvo lah. If I were the architect and Volvo come to me kata dia nak buat this kind of building, then I would highly suggest another site yang lagi sesuai untuk implement this idea. Sebab kita kena faham yang tak semua benda yang kita nak buat ni boleh diterima oleh that community setempat. So memang I admit that this is the weakness lah of this project that is guided by the brief. Sebab kita dah ada the client dulu, baru kita ambil je site and then kita try untuk implement benda tu. So personally for me, I don't think it work that effectively lah. But never mind, we just proceed with what we have and try to get the best out of it. So sama balik tadi dekat sini dekat nombor 4 ni is my site, it is neighboring nightclub. Ada 2 nightclub kat sini. So it should enhance more lah the narrative untuk sampaikan the message of automotive safety, sebab memang kalau kita gabungkan nightclub dengan road issues ni memang satu benda je lah yang kita dapat, which is the drunk driving issues yang semakin lama ni makin teruk lah bagi saya yang tengah jadi in our society. And then also at this site, dia site ini is a very special sikit sebab dia ada this kind of macam sloping topography. Later on in my elevation and section you can see how I implement that into my building. And also the 6 issues is that how to fit all of these tall skyline with my building, sebab almost all of the building kat sini memang cecah berpuluh-puluh tingkat, and suddenly we have a very macam a small building yang restricted to 2 tingkat je. So how can I solve that? And then okay, another important aspect yang I would like to highlight is that the urban distraction, in which kalau kita berdiri dekat tengah-tengah Bukit Bintang ni, kita jarang tau nak nampak the architecture itself. Apa yang kita nampak is that it is filled with almost macam luminous punya billboard sana sini. So it's sometimes hard to appreciate the design or the program or the activities, the human activities that the architecture is trying to bring. So okay, ni among the excerpts of road issues surrounding Bukit Bintang, and as you can see on the bottom left ni is drunk driving issues, which is tak silap saya memang dia berasal daripada 2 kelab malam yang dekat sini, sebab this is among the most popular night club lah yang ada dekat Bukit Bintang. So okay, this is an elaborate version of the cycle of trust yang saya dah explain tadi tu, which is I try to bring together the contextual issues and also the brand identity into how I devise into creating the cycle of trust. And ultimately it will achieve the Volvo's vision to zero towards the all of the macam proses yang diorang dah sampaikan towards the public. And also this design framework, any design should be guided by these 5 questions, which is what, why, how and where. So daripada sini bila you derive all of these 5 questions, baru you can create an architecture that have meaning. So tak adalah you macam buat this design ni just sekadar macam nak shot sendiri kan, macam form gempak, tapi all of the benda yang kita try nak solve tu tak tersampai. So in every semester memang I try to answer these 5 questions first lah before proceeding with the design itself. And for this semester pun juga I try to search what are the macam important theory yang boleh support my narrative untuk sampaikan the message of safety tu. So one of the theory yang saya belajar is the theory of experiential learning, which kita orang lagi akan efektif untuk belajar a certain information tu through these 4 stages, which is the concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization and active experimentation. So dekat sini saya try divide my target user into 2 different kind of orang kata macam target user lah, which is the survivor and the savior. So the survivor is the people who will come to this building, which is the general public and also the customers. And the second target user is the savior itself, which is the Volvo Accident Research Team. So I try to, okay, jujurnya benda ni it's really hard for BSc level untuk hadam. Saya pun sebenarnya tak dapat nak try to implement the theory in perfectly lah, tapi at least this cycle of experiential learning ni, dia akan contribute something towards my planning later on. So by having these two different character ni, I try to macam derivekan the program specifically designed for them. So these are my 4 design strategies before I proceed with the program. First of all is the process, not product. So I memang tadi I banyak kali mention, which is I memang nak try to redefine the conventional idea of a showroom. So instead of macam letak a product to be displayed, I try to nak letak the process. That is the thing yang should be displayed for the public to see. So bila orang nampak proses, baru the sense of trust kepada brand tu akan terjadilah. That's my hypothesis. The second is the experiential learning, and visual dominance ni more towards the macam bold character of Volvo. So I try to macam translate the character of Volvo into something that is very bold and brutal, sebab kan they have a really ambitious punya vision, the vision towards zero tu. So the character tu is manifested as something yang brutal lah basically. And the fourth is the Volvo design philosophy itself, which is to think again. So to think again ni, I try to, this is the among the earliest sketches that I did. So I try to redefine how the architectural elements yang ada di sekeliling kita ni boleh convey the message of safety. So so dalam banyak ni you boleh nampak macam berapa banyak slide yang I present on the research, baru you nampak the first sketch yang I buat. Sebab for me the process of research tu memang is a very crucial stage lah for any design development. So I galakkan if you guys can try to spend more time on the research punya stage lah before proceeding with the design itself. So dari sini saya try untuk macam brainstorm all of the ideas from the Volvo punya efforts tu untuk translate jadi a physical punya being. So this is the program syntax where things started to transfer into the tangible punya elements. So I try to correlate all of the Volvo punya safety efforts into a very basic diagrammatic punya vision of how I envision the program would be. So the first of all is the sacred lane, which is the track for that crash test tu. So and the second one is the wall of default lane, which is the physical kan macam tadi saya cakap Volvo tengah collect the data of siapa yang pernah terselamat dan siapa yang pernah mati. So all of the data tu akan diproses and dijadikan a physical punya elements inside the building. And the third is the scrapyard columbarium, which is all of the damaged car daripada crash test ni akan di-displaykan. So basically dalam my building ni I tak display kereta Volvo yang cantik, yang prestigious tu, tapi I displaykan all of the scraps yang dah dihancurkan daripada the crash test track ni. Before the scrap tu akan being recycled lah. And the fourth, the extensive research I translated into the survey house, where this research studio ni is dedicated for Volvo accident research team, di mana diorang akan try simulate all of the crash test tu before it's being tested physically lah. And also I try to engage with the visitor, as you can see. Okay, lepas ni ada, we go through one by one the program, which is the sacred lane ni. At the initial stage I just envision a very linear track being flanked by two seating area, which is the amphitheater and also the standing area, so that people from the public can come together and see the process of the crash test itself. So dia akan ada 2 point, which is the preparation area, and then the impact point, which is di mana kereta tu akan dilanggarkan with another kereta ataupun a crane. So the scrap and columbarium ni, kereta yang dah dihancurkan tu akan diangkat through an overhead crane and then dia akan dibawa untuk didisplaykan di dekat overhead of the visitor lane, or maybe provision can be done untuk so that the jump tu dia boleh being lifted up so that visitor can see and also touch all of the macam kereta-kereta yang dah dihancurkan tu. So kat sini pun saya laykan dulu, although in my final design all of these activities tak dapat di-implement sebab because of the macam limited punya space kan. So tapi tak apa, sebab this thing yang akan macam define my spaces nanti. So for Wall of the Fallen ni, I envision it to be the climatic space where people can appreciate all of the lives that has been saved and also mourn all of the life that have been apa kata, macam dah mati lah macam tu. So dekat sini saya envision dia akan ada 3 layer, which is yang akan propose macam 3 different category of information. Tapi okay, in my initial stage, why I envision this to be a conical structure, sebab dalam banyak structure or elements, sebab saya memang nak jadikan this Wall of the Fallen ni as the largest punya element in my building. So to achieve that stability of a very high or a very massive punya benda, cone is one of the best solution lah, sebab dia ada a larger base and a smaller upper part of the element tu untuk dapatkan that gravity center tu dia boleh tampung beban dia sendiri at the base tu. So it's just macam an early provision so that it will ease my process of designing the construction stage lah nanti. And the survey house is where the people will, the visitor will jalan dekat sini, at the same time diorang boleh tengok all of the Volvo punya staff doing their works untuk selamatkan nyawa diorang sendiri. So okay, kat sini baru bila dah identify all of the 4 programs tu, I try to macam main-main dengan all of the 4 different programs ni into one sectional punya sketches. Sebab macam kalau kita dekat UiTM, kita akan biasa design ni, kita akan cari SOA dulu and then buat susun bubble diagram and then baru kita develop the floor plan kan. So kita naikkan that floor plan jadi a certain form and then baru kita derive the section. Tapi ni apa yang Cik Fairuz ajar saya masa 05. Design, a good design can also be started from section punya maksudnya initial benda tu start daripada section lah, dia bukan start daripada plan. So bila kita start daripada section, kat sini baru kita akan understand how the spaces would work in 3 dimension. Sebab we are not limited, kalau macam bubble diagram, SOA or all of the macam planning, we are limited just by 1 dimension, which is the floor. Tapi ada banyak lagi elements lain yang kita kena consider for our programs to work in 3-dimensional spaces. So that's why in this semester I try to start my design with section first. So I try to experiment. Ada banyak lagi section yang saya experiment, tapi this among the 2 lah yang I think would help me, untuk guide me towards the end. So kat sini you can see the crash test center at the crash test track tu at the center of the building, and on the top of it is the memorial, the Wall of the Fallen tu, and then ada this series of macam tempat duduk ni, the internet theater untuk orang tengok, and then in between the courtyard and the auditorium ni is where all of these spaces would be lah. So macam this center ni is to cater for the macam readable space untuk orang, untuk dapatkan macam a very calming ambience dekat at the center of the building. So after dah dapat benda ni, baru saya try buat my president study, which is I study the Volvo Safety Center itself, and then ada crash test center dekat Melaka. Okay, dekat Malaysia kita ada satu je crash test track, which is being operated by Miros. And Alhamdulillah I get a contact from my brother. Dia ada kawan yang kerja dekat sini. So banyak juga lah data yang saya dapat filter, specifically on the physical requirement of the space. Yang my main concern is that macam site kita memang limited. So apa yang dia advise is that maybe the crash test tu is not a full scale punya crash test yang saya akan buat at this hub. Sebab crash test ni dalam engineering punya term dia ada banyak jenis. So perhaps the smaller scale of the crash test ni, it can be done within our site. So benda tu just sekadar untuk tunjuk kepada public and also being tested for a minor punya technical experiment. So it's not the largest scale punya experiment that is being done by the Volvo Safety Center ni lah, basically. So it is, I've talked to him and yeah, we all agree that the ni lah is viable to be implemented in my site. And also Museum of the Wood by Tadaondo. This one I try to study the planning sebab so macam the idea of having that center courtyard and the space in between the courtyard tu is mainly derived from this idea. And I'm also interested in how he manipulated the structure tu untuk dapatkan that spatial quality. And also this is the Bruno, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Tapi this one is it's not a buildable, it's not a build project yet. Tapi I think this kind of project suits my site very well sebab dia ada, our site is at the intersection of an urban site and it have macam a sunken punya type topography. So I try to take ataupun bawa the same approach lah as this proposal. And okay, yang my decision untuk buat coin tu is also mainly derived from this project, which is Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum at Israel ataupun Palestine sebenarnya. So kat sini this is memang dia majorly translated lah what how the spatial experience that I wanted to achieve. So memang mainly saya banyak derive from this idea and I try to study the construction and also the materiality of this project into my building. And also the last is the Sikh Cathedral, which is another layer of the Wall of the Fallen. So later on nanti I will show you where did I try to bring this president study into the building. And last but not least is on the brutalist punya elements. With so I study Palazzo Dello by Pierluigi. Palazzo Dello ni I really interested in how he expressed the brutal effect through the structural punya design, which is a very enormous punya buttress ni. Buttress ni. So as you can see in this section ni memang all of the buttress ni dia akan support this very large dome and the span ni can be achieved, tak salah saya, it's around 100 meter from end to end. So I try to have this kind of precedent sebab kalau boleh I nak try dapatkan the crash test track at the center tu to be columnless punya space so that tak ada column yang mengganggu untuk the public see the process lah. And also I highlight the brutalist in my design strategies earlier. I highlighted the macam brutalist character of Volvo. So this structural punya consideration and the brutalist punya structure ni dia correlates lah with each other sebab by having this macam a massive structure ni akan enhancekan the bold or the brutal punya identity of the brand itself. So yeah, this is all the macam the conventional punya process that we go through, the SOA, the bubble diagram semua. I think I wouldn't explain it much sebab we can see on my final planning lah on the overall of the scheme. So this is the macam how I derive the site forces into the site planning. Kalau kita tengok dekat di site plan ni ada satu zebra crossing and dekat sini ada pedestrian bridge punya linkage, which this linkage ni akan connectkan pavilion sampailah ke KLCC. So dekat site saya memang this vintage point ni is one of the most ni lah macam the most welcoming punya point. So at this place I try to insert my public notes. So as you can see in my site plan ni ada 3 public notes which is I define by the amphitheater sebab di site ni adalah site yang sloping. So dekat 3 ni akan ada a different activities yang akan cater with the 3 different amphitheater ni. And in between of the elevated site ni akan ada macam sunken punya greeneries lah in between. So macam the services apa semua tu saya letak at behind at the back face of the site. Tapi tu tak apa, nanti kita akan tengok lagi kat dalam saya plan later on. So before I proceed with my final scheme or my final design, I just wanted to show you briefly on the process. So biasanya dalam di session memang ramai akan tanya apa yang produk ni saya buat pakai apa kan, pakai software apa, Rhino ke Revit ke. So jawapan saya adalah semua benda yang kita ada, we should use it in this final semester. So as you can see in my process, memang I banyak develop my design through sketches, through CAD, 3D saya pakai Rhino, and mostly macam at the initial stage tu saya banyak develop the design through simple meshing untuk study how can I bring together the 4 program tu kan. And also tapi itulah, design ni it's not a very linear process. Dia memang banyak we jump from one to another. Contoh macam buat sketch, lepas tu masuk ke CAD, then masuk ke 3D. Tapi bila ada sometimes bila kita stuck, it is best if you could turn back to the sketches untuk try to resolve the issues. So yeah, after weeks and weeks of developing the design, memang banyak lah yang saya try untuk resolve, especially on the construction and the issues of the spaces. And also for this semester, I baru start nak berjinak-jinak dengan grasshopper. So the conical structure yang you nampak, bila nampak kat my Padlet tu, the conical structure ni memang saya try derive pakai grasshopper. Actually boleh je buat pakai apa-apa pun, macam SketchUp pun boleh kan. Tapi I think grasshopper is a really convenient tool sebab dia allow flexibility in the changes later on. Contoh lah kan, katakan macam saya dah resolve the grid ni kan, tapi at the next stage tiba-tiba macam my design kena tukar on the height of the building or the shape of the coin itself. So by using this grasshopper ni, kita boleh go through that process back easily lah. Maksudnya tanpa perlu we destroy the existing design kita dah ada ni. And also at my initial stage, I use Ladybug tool untuk study on the environmental analysis, untuk study the macam apa climatic punya consideration. So kat sini saya ada buat macam a very basic punya sky dome study, and also I try to test with all of the meshing yang I dah buat tadi tu with this Ladybug tool. And from there I try to devise what are the best form yang boleh boleh adapt lah dengan the climatic punya consideration. So kalau you nampak yang warna biru ni is where the radiation tu akan berkurang. So the way I try to design this form is that dekat atas tu saya buat dia macam a V-shape punya enclosure, tapi dekat bawah tu dia macam an incline balik punya V, so that it can have more shading untuk bagi this ground floor ni more habitable for the public. So dekat sini saya dapat ni lah untuk test out the workability of this kind of form by using the ladybug tool. And yeah, jangan lupa juga bila dah ada 3D, kita kena try pergi patah balik dengan apa je tools yang kita ada. Sebab sometimes bila kita dah design dekat dalam 3D ni, we have the tendency untuk macam, yelah walaupun it is 3D dalam kita punya software, tapi dia punya spatial dimension tu lain tau bila kita buat the physical punya things. So bila kita buat physical ni baru kita boleh nampak lah in the macam 3-dimensional punya aspect of the things. So bila dah berhijrah ke 3D tu, janganlah kita tinggalkan the mockups or the study models, because that really plays an important role lah untuk your design. So okay, yeah. So baru saya akan proceed with my final scheme. This is another artwork where it conveys all of the important details and the overall view of how the building would be lah in the final design. So this is the overview of the design itself, where you can see ada 3 different amphitheater. With each dia akan ada satu important notes where the public can appreciate the activities that is being done, the ingress and egress of the site, and also the connection with the surrounding urban punya elements. As you can see, there's also macam ada center courtyard where it gives breathable space for this massive punya block. And the highlighted part is the memorial chamber tu itself, which is the wall of the fallen. So memang I try nak buat benda ni memang tinggi. I think it's about dalam 29 meters from the ground. So by having this kind of massive structure, I try to devise the design of a very massive buttress. Sebab one, the buttress ni akan bagi that brutal ataupun the bold effect untuk portray the Volvo punya character, but at the same time it can also cater for the untuk support the massive structure ni. So as you can see, ada steel beam yang akan connect with the buttress ni. So saya boleh dapat a columnless free area lah dekat at the center courtyard ni. So this is the sectional illustration where you can see how all of the 4 different programs work together each other dalam satu design scheme, where at the bottom ni is the crash test track tu. So akan ada macam amphitheater where people boleh duduk untuk tengok the process of the crash test tu. And then at the kat depan ni is the impact point lah, basically where the car will be damaged altogether. And dekat at the bottom part ni is the preparation area, which have a direct connection with my service road. So kat sini maybe akan ada macam roller shutter yang di mana cars tu dia boleh bila truck datang dia boleh dropkan the cars at the service road ni akan, and then the cars tu akan dibawa masuk manually through ramp with a roller shutter lah dekat the preparation area ni. So bila car dah ditest, akan ada macam a crane yang bawa, yang angkut yang akan salvage the damaged car ni through an overhead punya mechanism, overhead crane punya mechanism. So this crane ni akan dia akan pusing through the exhibition punya spaces where people can see lah all of the damaged car being displayed. And also this area ni I made it macam half transparent. Dia macam ada a certain blockage jugalah by this macam apa fasad ni, so that macam people yang datang daripada amphitheater ni akan nampak a glimpse of that jangkar tu, so it will create macam a sense of curiosity untuk diorang nak lagi datang towards my building. So when dia masuk, dia can see in 360 minutes lah of the damaged car punya exhibition. And here is the open plaza where it is directly connected with the amphitheater. So this amphitheater ni, this open plaza, I intended the program would be for macam a temporary punya exhibition punya spaces. Contoh kalau macam Volvo ada seasonal exhibition on road safety, so they can try to bring out all of the exhibition tu together at this area. So people yang pass by this area ni boleh macam dia akan ada glimpse untuk nampak this kind of activity, and it will create macam a kind of magnet to attract the public untuk see the activities that is being done. And on the upper stage as well, this is where the end point of this crane circulation, where all of the cars akan turunkan balik before the cars being transported back untuk recycle. So the Xavier House tu, which is the research studio, would be located just above of this internal amphitheater. So yeah, and at the center of the building is where the wall of the fallen, which is, it consists of 3 different layers. The brass plate ni macam a golden punya plate, this consists of macam nama-nama orang yang dah mati, and then the inner plate, the inner chamber, which is a light installation that is inspired from the Sid Cathedral tu. So dia akan ada macam banyak lighting features untuk display all of the data of people yang dah pernah selamat, people yang dah pernah people yang dah mati, or people yang dah pernah experience in road accidents. And on the outer chamber is where the hall of the macam survivors. So all of the gambar orang yang pernah terselamat by Volvo invention will be displayed here lah, untuk honor those who have been saved by Volvo. So this wall of the fallen ni is where the climatics punya experience lah untuk the visitors to experience how, untuk bagi diorang appreciate the Volvo punya efforts ni. So this is the view from the ingress. So this is the entrance lah, which I try to replicate back. I try to macam nak definekan lagi this entrance ni, I repeat the materials to with different scale, so untuk enhancekan the welcoming effect. And also I have macam a ramp yang connecting towards the from the outside of the building. First, ramp ni dia bukanlah the main entrance to the building, but it can serve as the fire escape punya provision, but at the same time it can give macam inconvenience for the ni lah disabled community. Tapi dalam my building still ada the lift, cumanya this is macam an extra punya provision for the disabled and also for the fire safety regulation. Sebab as you can see here from my side ni, yang dekat belas ni memang really elevated punya side. So why not kalau I try to macam have this ramp as the fire escape provision, so that I can reduce the amount of staircase that is needed inside the building. So when although tak ada kita doakan fire tu akan jadi kan, tapi this ramp can also serve as the ni lah the tertiary punya fire provision. And here is the plan where I try to make the planning as simple as I can. Sebab ni salah satu point yang saya belajar dari competition. In every design, clarity is a key lah. Kalau you buat you punya design very complicated or the planning very macam hard to understand, hard for people to use, dia akan buat your design tu akan jadi tenggelam tau. So instead of you try to complicatedkan on the planning, why not you try complicatedkan on the layers of the materiality or the layers of the construction itself. Macam for my planning in almost every project, I try to go with simple kind of planning. As you can see macam at this floor plan, I have a very linear punya track and surrounded by a macam a circular punya spaces lah. So kenapa saya pilih circular dengan linear ni? Sebab linear memang saya tak boleh nak redefine lah. I cannot redefine the wheel. So memang linear element ni is a needed punya requirement lah if I were to implement this track. Tapi for this circular punya element ni, I derive from the site punya consideration sebab as you can see the nature of my site ni, it have macam a very different things going around tau at different sites of the site itself. So by having this circular punya configuration ni, it give me kind of macam flexibility untuk I interact with all of the other urban elements in my building. So macam this open plaza ni, I face it towards the zebra crossing tu. So people from the zebra crossing tu can directly come and go downstairs with the amphitheater to the open plaza. And also the impact point ni, I also make it visible to the public so that people going around the site can also sit untuk tengok the impact point. And also the crash test track ni, okay, it would be a waste kalau saya just dedicatekan this crash test track ni untuk semata-mata untuk crash test punya track. So maybe at times when tak ada crash test punya eksperimen ni, this track can also serve as macam runway lah untuk exhibition. So in case macam Volvo ada a new car dia nak launch ke ataupun ada seasonal exhibition, this track ni can be part of the exhibition juga. And then the autonomous kart track ni is where macam kan saya cakap tadi yang Volvo ada test with the trolley punya benda tu kan. So this kart track ni can be macam a place untuk the public test that trolley itself ataupun untuk Volvo have macam an outdoor punya exhibition or outdoor punya demonstration with whatever technology that they have. So yang lain semua saya rasa macam biasa je lah kot. Sebab I think my planning is quite straightforward. Memang I intended it to be simple. And on the on the first floor is where all of the exhibition will take place. So kalau by macam dia punya consideration dia is that visitor yang bayar akan dapat the access to the upper level lah. So akan ada the AV presentation room where the Volvo people akan curate all of the macam benda yang going around with this exhibition. And also this is the Scrapyard Columbarium where it have macam a direct connectivity with the impact point. And impact point ni, yes, memang as you can see from here, it is a double volume punya space. So dia memang besar untuk allow the headroom for that crane tu untuk transfer the cars. And also I try to make it macam at this side ni a double volume punya space so that it will ease the movement of that crane tu untuk bawa the cars. And on the east side of the building is where the studio lab is at. So I try to introduce macam a garden on the ground level so that it will macam create a positive environment lah for the Volvo punya workers. And also I have this very straightforward punya ring corridor where all of the visitors can go around and experience different things altogether of the different spaces. And at the center is where the memorial chamber is located at. And yeah, the planning for macam memorial chamber ni is quite straightforward. I try to implement yang saya tunjuk tadi from the Yad Washim. It is macam semi-enclosed space sebab dia ada bumbung, tapi on the keliling tu ada part yang tertutup, ada part yang tak tertutup. So it will give macam a kind of an open area lah untuk this memorial chamber. Sebab one of the reason ni yang saya discuss with Dr. Rizwan, one of the usage of this massive nuclear structure is that it can also be macam stack effect punya machine. Sebab I use macam cladding yang panas ni, so it can cater with all the winds can it can direct macam hotter air towards the upper part of the cone structure ni. So that they can have macam very calming punya ambience on the ground level. So this is in the section view. So as you can see, memang sebab tu saya suggest you buat you punya design tu start dari section, so that bila you dah develop the form and whatnot, you can have that initial punya idea tu as your guiding principle. So as you can see here, macam my section ni tak jauh sangat lari ke belakang from my initial idea, sebab all of these spaces tu memang saya dah macam apa orang kata dah fikir daripada awal lah on how the space would be. So it's a matter of macam how I would try to refine all of the spaces all together to make it macam one complementary punya form and enclosure. So you can see here where I engage with the public from the outside with the amphitheater, so that they can see the impact point. So dari sini it can also conveys my idea of having the crash test punya track. Kat sini is the impact point where the cars will be damaged, and akan ada macam crane yang akan bawa all of the damaged car naik ke atas, and also the exhibition lane, the corridoring tu. And yeah, I think it's quite straightforward section juga, which I intended it to be on the first starting point of my design. It's pretty hard untuk resolvekan the structure ni, but walaupun dia tak totally resolve, tapi the consideration or the structural logic tu adalah based on the precedent yang saya dah jumpa daripada Pala Satu Yellow tu. So I try to implement the same thing by having that buttress supporting the massive cone structure ni. And tambah lagi macam this structure ni is a conical shape. So the point dekat bawah ni lagi besar, so dia akan create that stability lah untuk support the upper part of the structure to itself. And I memang really intended for it to be macam a brutalist punya building untuk conveykan the bold elements of the Volvo tu itself. So this is the interior views of the sacred lane itself. So you can see I try to put the complexity in the detail. Macam I try to design the curb penghadang of the sacred lane to itself, the crash test punya lane tu, and then I try to design the lighting features. As you can see macam my previous gambar yang saya tunjuk, the crash test punya track tu, kan kita nampak very different layers of components, of elements. So I try to bring that into this design back lah. So you can see the amphitheater where people can sit all together, and the open plaza where people can stand. The public from the outside can also appreciate this building, this process. So ni macam kind of a diagram yang convey all of that idea all together. So you can see how the track is linearly being placed, and also dekat atas tu akan ada crane yang akan bawa all of the damaged cars, and then dia akan pusing towards the spaces tu before being recycled down towards the starting point. And on top of that is the layers of the structure itself. So kat sini saya detailkan juga the blow up of each layers of the chamber tu. And okay, kalau you ingat tadi kan saya mention which is pasal I intended for this track to be configurable at different times. So this is the illustration of how the intended purpose would serve. Macam at the top of the lighting punya frame ni, I also place macam kind of roller shutter panel yang boleh dibawa turun. So if Volvo need kind of macam exhibition punya space, this roller shutter ni boleh diturunkan, and all of the macam benda-benda yang nak di-displaykan can be exhibit at the panel to itself. So yeah, I try to experiment more with the details lah basically. Macam the form tu I try to make it monolithic and try to make it macam as simple as it could be, but I try to experiment with the layers of details and the layers of material and the component of the project itself. So this is the scrapyard columbarium where all of the cars will be transferred all together by using this overhead crane. So macam ni, okay sorry, ni sepatutnya macam maybe the cars can be bring out down together. Tapi dalam animation ni saya ada tunjuk on the situation where the cars being diturunkan lah. Cuma on this illustration is to show how the spatial quality of the scrapyard columbarium, where it have macam a very distinctive punya facade ni as a shading device, and they have macam a certain gap in between the portal frame that you see here, in between the portal frame and the facade itself. So dekat tengah-tengah tu macam ada kind of a buffer zone where I place the vegetation. So if you see balik dekat sini, you can see that bila orang datang daripada at this upper level of this side ni, on the eye level dia orang akan nampak that this overhanging punya garden which is the buffer zone tu, and then on top of that they will see a glimpse of the cars to itself. So this buffer zone also being used as macam nak reducekan the radiation received by this space lah, sebab memang as you can see here, memang this space totally enclosed with glass. So by having this kind of macam buffer and at the same time having these shades of fasad ni, dia boleh kurangkan sikit lah that radiation yang diterima of this building, of this space itself. So this is the schematic flow of the crash test. Maybe kalau yang diagram 3D tadi tu nampak tak jelas, so perhaps this schematic flow ni akan terangkan lagi detail macam mana cars tu dibawa daripada truck. Macam okay, since this building is a small scale punya public building, so memang the consideration dia tak adalah macam pakai trailer yang bawa 2-3 kereta sekali. Perhaps macam one day akan ada satu truck yang bawa satu kereta, so dia akan turunkan at this service road ni, and then dia akan being transferred with ramp and also the roller shutter itself. So dekat sini is where the preparation area, and then the cars will be moved towards the crash type punya area, and then this is the impact point where all of the damaged parts will be collected by the Volvo punya workers, by the Volvo punya staff, and being transferred towards an overhead punya crane. So okay, one more thing, macam overhead crane ni it requires a very heavy punya consideration. So untuk counter that structural punya consideration, I try to propose by having this series of portal frame in between the 12 buttress that I have. So memang saya tak ada calculation lagi. Kalau nak resolve benda ni betul-betul, then we need to speak to the CNS guy lah kan. But this this portal structure ni is one of the provision lah yang I set untuk cater for this very heavy punya loads. Sebab ya kereta macam kita tahu memang it requires very heavy mechanism untuk lift it up. So we need to have macam a very massive punya structure yang boleh support the heavy things altogether lah. And also as you can see here is the macam a magnet. Kalau kita tengok dekat scrap yard kan ada crane where it will collect the magnet. So this magnet akan collect all of the macam smaller debris lah untuk transport towards the this preparation zone juga. So this is the supporting punya diagram, which is where you can see the overhead crane and magnet that I envisioned how it would be. The base section model which I cut at the center of this scrap yard punya columbarium, and also the crane circulation where it connects the impact point and also the blast point punya area ni before it being moved to be recycled. Okay, sekejap sorry. Okay. So this is the macam the climatic experience of the center itself, the wall of the fallen. Yang saya explain tadi ada 3 different layers. The first is the brass plate which it will have macam an engraved punya nama, and then at the center is the inner chamber which is the light installation yang saya derive from the seat cathedral tu, and also at the outer layer is the outer chamber which display all of the faces that have been saved by Volvo inventions. So dekat atas ni akan ada macam skylight to allow daylighting. So macam it can also serve as macam lighting punya to create that ambience of nak bagi orang sedar or bagi orang insaf lah senang cerita. So yeah, as you can see dekat tepi-tepi ni juga ada the sitting area that caters untuk the visitor untuk see the crash test below. Okay, kat sini I think it's my bad in the rendering. Sepatutnya dekat sini ada macam covering which is the transparent punya macam polycarbonate transparent roof. So while this space is open but also at the same time it is enclosed with rain lah. So this polycarbonate roof pun akan cover the corridor or the walkway yang directs the people towards this memorial chamber. So yeah, this is the highlighted section untuk show the structural consideration and also show the different layers of the chamber. This is the illustration of the perspective of in between all of the layers and the detail. Tapi minta maaf sebab saya tak copy the detail punya spec tu sebab I think it would be hard for you guys to see. Yang this one on the left ni is the original detailing by Thomas Hatterwick, which saya try to personalize in my detail. Dekat sini saya dah personalize with the dimension of each of my acrylic rod ni. And this acrylic rod ni the long macam yang dekat Thomas punya installation ni memang panjang tau. So in my design I try to make it more smaller and also shorter in terms of length so that it doesn't require much of structural punya consideration lah untuk support the acrylic rod ni. And yeah, this is the exploded blow up of all other details that I've derived untuk my own design lah. And last but not least is the Xavier house, which is it have some different staggering floor level of the studio lab untuk allow macam more interactive punya space so that orang kat atas boleh tengok juga apa yang jadi dekat bawah kan. So instead of having the same typical office punya cubicle on the same level, so this staggering punya level ni akan enhance the interactivity between each staff lah, so that they can see whatever happens on this space. And this is the macam visitor punya lane where the visitor can tengok macam mana Volvo derive their own process of automotive safety. And yeah, this is the overview of the overall interior of that Xavier house. And this is the view from the inside towards the center of the building. So in this narrative that you can see how I designed the space so that the Volvo engineer yang tengah buat kerja orang ni, tengah buat simulation, so at the same time while they are doing their works, they can see the memorial that shows the person that have been saved by them, and also the layers yang tunjuk nama-nama orang yang dah mati tu. So you can create some kind of macam emotional punya connection untuk enhancekan lagi Volvo staff punya eager untuk buat their own research. And also by having macam nampak orang the public lalu pun diorang akan lagi rasa terdetik lah untuk do their works more untuk save this life. So macam ni, by having this staggering floor, I try to propose macam some kind of different arrangement that the staff can use. Contoh macam maybe in case like they have a big presentation to the director ke apa, so they can try to repurpose this space into kind of macam a different arrangement lah, untuk bagi more personalized punya usage. And here, yeah, this is the connection that I've taught earlier, which is dekat luar ni I try to macam have a very a garden so that people from inside can look into the outside untuk dapatkan yang more macam calming ambience of this space. This is the overall overview untuk my building, which I exploded the ground floor and also the first floor. And this is the structural consideration which tunjuk semua components yang ada dekat dalam my building, which is first and foremost is the buttress tu, ada 12. So all of my design grid tu akan massively akan dikontrol with this 12 buttress punya grid. So that's how I divided the space. And then the portal and the enclosure system, the metal framing yang attach the cone structure to the buttress, and also the frame system of that cone itself, and the facade and the roof system, where it is stacked all together to this massive buttress. So okay, maybe ramai yang curious kenapa buttress ni I buat dia warna merah. So warna merah ni actually I intended for this building to be as raw as possible. So I look masa tengah design the structure tu, I try to study the what are the macam innovative material that I can use to bring inside the building. So dekat sini saya jumpa one kind of material which is a ferrite concrete. So ferrite concrete ni it is quite a new material that is being developed, di mana dia gantikan aggregate cement. Aggregate cement, kalau concrete kan ada 3 main komponen kan. So dia gantikan dia cement tu with steel dust, which is here as you can see. So bila digantikan dengan steel dust ni, the curing process tu akan jadi carbon negatif sebab dia perlukan carbon dioxide untuk make the concrete tu cast. And also it will give macam a very rustic punya looks lah towards the final finishing of the material itself. So the macam reddish punya colour ni I dapat daripada the implementation of this ferro concrete lah. So I also hypothesize that the material or the steel dust yang nak diguna untuk this concrete punya aggregate ni is being recycled from the junk of the cars, where kan dekat Volvo punya safety center diorang buat at least one car per day kan yang diorang damage kan. So why not kalau we use that waste untuk recycle, kita leburkan that junk of the cars tu, and then that hasil leburan tu boleh diguna pakai untuk for this building material. So it will be more sustainable lah in terms of the program and the materiality of the building itself. And yeah, this is the supporting detail yang saya buat masa at the late stage of the design, where I try to resolve all of the important details and also the specifications. So and yeah, ditambah dengan all of the services to make all of the building works all together. So yeah, I think that's about it untuk my design scheme. Tapi okay, kalau siapa yang pernah tengok I punya dekat Padlet tu ada letak juga ada 4 artwork kan. So perhaps I will try to go through briefly all of the artwork first. Nampak Okay.
Nampak.
Alright. So the first artwork is this is macam a narrative punya artwork untuk portray di Volvo punya brutal character yang I dah habis panjang lebar cerita dia. So macam the brutal or the bold character ni is being defined as an ever-growing structure yang stands upon countless bodies of scrap cars and also the countless bodies of people yang dah mati lah disebabkan oleh car accidents. So all of the data, all of the analysis, all of the research that has been developed by Volvo is being represented in a very massive punya structure to show the stability or the rigidness of Volvo punya dreams. So this is one of the almost earliest artwork yang I buat masa conceptual punya stage untuk macam define kan how the overall look or how the overall elements would look like altogether. So for the second artwork is the plaque of the road, which shows the relationship of this main design and its relationship with the surrounding context. So yang I highlight dekat dalam artwork ni, I try to be more macam playful. I try to put macam playful punya elements inside this artwork, where dekat Jalan Raja Chulan ni I put with a long march of cars yang represent the real situation of Jalan Raja Chulan masa peak hour. Memang kalau Jalan Raja Chulan ni masa peak hour, siapa pernah pergi memang dia jam tu sebab it leads to the main intersection dekat Bukit Bintang. So I try to macam redefine the faces of the surrounding building with all of the information yang convey the message of safety. Contoh macam dekat bawah ni ada tunjuk data, yang maybe ada nampak kan the image of the kereta yang tengah accident. So benda ni masa I hypothesize it would give the effect or the awareness towards this mass lane of traffic ni lah. And also on the big screen of the pavilion ni, I try to macam redefine the facade of the big screen ni into macam what if kalau masa Volvo tengah buat the crash test tu, the live situation of the Volvo tu being displayed at this long tower ni. So we try to utilize the macam the boring face of the Bukit Bintang into something yang boleh bagi atau boleh convey that message of safety. And yeah, the third hour ni is the compilation of all of the details and all of the illustration of the programs all together into one single artwork. Ni pun tadi saya dah explain banyak. And then the last artwork is the hypothetical extension of how this building would look like. So if any of you guys have stumbled upon this structure, nama dia Fanatinic Stadium, located at Greece, tak silap saya. So this Fanatinic Stadium ni dia ada a very linear punya lane. It is an ancient structure, tinggalan daripada berapa BC, I couldn't remember. Tapi it is the first stadium that is being used for the modern day Olympic back in back in 1890 something lah. So asalnya this long track ni diorang guna untuk macam lumba kuda dekat tengah ni. So people would come together and see the event lah. So I try to macam redefine ataupun reimagine what if kalau instead of sukan ataupun any events yang digunakan at this Fanatinic Stadium, why not kalau crash test ni kita bawa ke Fanatinic Stadium. So it is macam a place for people to appreciate the process itself. And kalau kita tengok macam sekarang ni, modern day design actually yang saya baca, memang mostly modern day design dia heavily inspired by this Fanatinic Stadium punya typology. So sebab tu kalau kita tengok macam modern day design punya stadium, semua akan ada macam satu centralized punya benda dekat tengah, and then supporting by a series of sitting area dekat tepi, which is kalau you guys study balik the history, memang the earlier stadium punya typology directly adapt this Fanatinic Stadium punya typology. So it is considered as one of the earliest stadium design lah. So yeah, I try to macam maybe lah kalau kan saya cakap tadi masa awal, kalau saya jadi architect of Volvo, I would try to suggest Volvo to build, to cari site yang boleh dapatkan to maximize this distance of the crash test punya track ni, so that people can have, the building can be more valuable to Volvo lah, in a way. So as you can see as well, dekat sini ada a series of the RC ferrite buttress tu being supporting the overhead new crane yang bawa semua kereta yang been damaged, and dekat bawah ni ada all of the persons yang datang untuk visit, untuk tengok the result of the crash test tu. And at the center is the climatic punya experience, which is the wall of the fallen. And macam ada a bit lah macam a detail yang saya tambah untuk make it more playful with the drawings. Macam dekat sini you can see where the Volvo researchers with their equipments recording or analyze the crash test, and also there's flying macam papers with PDF logo to represent Volvo punya initiative back in 2016, di mana diorang macam share freely all of the PDF to the public. So macam I envision this narrative to be, this artwork to be macam demonstration lah of how the design would be in a better situation. So yeah, I think that's about it untuk the design. Okay, before we proceed with Q&A, can I show you the animation first? Ke nak proceed dengan Q&A?
Boleh, boleh.
Boleh right. So
The seatbelt is a violation of human rights.
It's better to be thrown out than to be trapped inside.
没人能对我的生活指手画脚。
This is very upsetting.
Wearing a seatbelt is a terrible idea.
Serious restriction of freedom. It's a terrible, terrible idea. I call it a violation of human rights. Who would ever want to wear this?
A public health report says it's ineffective, inconvenient, and uncomfortable.
It's better to be thrown out than to be.
okay, so yeah, I think that concludes my presentation of the design itself. So yeah, just should we proceed with Q&A sessions?
Okay, thank you, Hazwan, for that presentation. So I think after this, you want to present some of your competition.
Oh yeah, so now Q&A dulu ke competition dulu?
Maybe kita we can afford a few question regarding Hazwan punya final year project, if anyone want to ask, and then after this baru kita proceed ke yang competition dia. So if anyone would like to ask, you can open up your mic and just ask your question, or you can just type it in the chat box section. Anyone? Okay, Kamal, you want to ask any question?
Hello, Hazwan. A huge fan of your work actually. So, a very good presentation. So, I just have some like 2 questions actually. So my first question is, I think you might explain about how you did the 3D model, but the softwares. But how about the illustration maybe? What softwares do you use? And the second question is, do you have some tips for those who are starting out in digitally. So yeah, that's all.
Okay, so for the illustration software, kalau you tengok dekat my external kalau on the external renders, I pakai keyshot. Tapi I baru belajar di software this time. I tak reti sangat guna this keyshot. Tapi I heavily render dalam Photoshop lah. So all of the macam ambience tu banyak yang I control through Photoshop. Kalau macam interior, saya banyak pakai Lumion sebab dia ada a certain detail yang I can add to that software. And then sama juga, I heavily Photoshop di interior. Lepas tu kalau macam yang diagram yang you tengok semua tu, the line work tu memang itu solely daripada Rhino. Daripada Rhino saya terus convert to 2D and then terus tukar dekat macam main dengan color and the opacity ni lah dekat Photoshop. So okay, untuk yang baru nak berjinak dengan software ni, my first tip, ada banyak sebenarnya tip, tapi I think among the important tips that try cari software yang boleh bantu you, bukan realize dengan design tau. Dia macam, okay kalau contoh you nak buat design yang macam-macam, setiap software ada dia punya own cara, tapi try cari software yang boleh adapt dengan banyak software yang lain. Contoh macam my own design yang banyak pakai Rhino sebab Rhino is one of the among the one software yang boleh integrate dengan semua software lain. Dia boleh integrate dengan AutoCAD, yang paling penting tu lah AutoCAD sebab saya rasa Rhino dia ada features where if you buat CAD dekat dalam AutoCAD and then masukkan dalam Rhino, you can live sync kan that AutoCAD drawing dengan Rhino. So apa-apa changes yang you buat dekat dalam AutoCAD, you boleh terus refresh dekat dalam Rhino. So benda tu memang sangat membantu untuk my workflow lah. So cari benda yang boleh senangkan your workflow. And then dari situ baru try eksperimen dengan try ni lah, try untuk main-main dengan software tu, try explore more. And another tips is that masa saya awal belajar software dulu, saya start dengan SketchUp. So nak test my efficiency dengan SketchUp, saya join competitions. So masa masuk competition awal tu tak target pun nak menang, tapi just sekadar nak belajar software je sebab okay memang you dah pergi kelas software apa semua kan, tapi benda yang paling play role untuk you masterkan the software is through buat a project. So you takkan mahir certain software selagi you tak start doing a real work. So that's why I highly suggest that sesiapa yang nak belajar software, you pergi kelas dulu and then terus buat, try cari macam competition yang simple yang you boleh masuk untuk test the workflow tu. Yang paling penting workflow lah in any software yang you use.
Alright, thank you very much, Hazwan.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Hazwan. I think there's some question in the chat box session. Maybe you can check it out.
Adam. Hi, Adam. Yeah, I agree. Memang tu one of the important aspect lah yang I would try to bring in this design. Sebab ya, macam tadi, back to the first question yang I cakap, which is the issue of showroom, the typical showroom yang kita ada sekarang. It only shows the brand and it only shows the product yang brand tu nak jual. Tapi we rarely think about the users. Macam the responsibility of that brand towards the users. So in my narrative memang I would highlight the human problem lah, which is the awareness of safety itself. Alter fabrication. Thank you. Then ada soalan from Cik Azlan. Yes, I memang ada plan nak buat kelas Rhino. Memang before this I ada buat juga, tapi I tak promote dia ni lah. I tak promote kau-kau. Macam before this I pernah buat untuk Coveris, ada dalam 4 orang yang dia belajar Rhino. And then baru ni saya buat untuk my batch sendiri, ada dalam 5 ke 6 orang. So for the next batch ni, I think after this week I try to start with the syllabus and whatnot, and come up with the assessment lah. And maybe better kalau macam nak ajar untuk budak-budak yang baru ni kan, nak 404 nak transfer ke 05. Yeah, I think I will promote more among them lah. Okay, setajul.
Okay, hi, Assalamualaikum Hazwan.
Hi.
Okay, I have been following up your development for quite a while. And the best thing to describe you will be your enthusiasm towards seeking knowledge. Knowing you, I thought knowing you throughout the years, like you regularly bump into seniors, and then you went for tutors and feedbacks, and you were particularly very active in socializing within the whole Archistar community. So I believe those attitudes, it does widen up your view towards having a better thoughts and thinking process. Is that it? And with that being said, what will be your advice for your juniors and your friends in having such attitudes?
Yes, that's really true. Memang daripada SEM 1 saya banyak, actually I quite impressed jugalah the first time I jejak kaki kat UiTM, because we have this kind of environment of Archistar. So that's why I really love lah about this society that we have. Sebab memang banyak kali my seniors pesan, like all of the events, all of the activities that we do in UiTM, benda tu yang akan macam create the dialogue or the transfer of knowledge in between our members. So I would highly recommend our juniors untuk participate in all of Archistar punya event, all of the side events, sebab benda ni yang akan develop your maturity tau, your kematangan. Tak kisahlah in terms of communication, in terms of time management, critical thinking, macam memang banyaklah benda yang you boleh belajar. In fact memang sebab I selalu join workshops, so daripada workshop tu memang satu, you dapat communicate dengan your seniors. So bila you dah move on nanti ke SEM-SEM atas, you tak rasa kekok tau nak jumpa dengan diorang, nak share design ideas. In fact memang dalam semester ni saya banyaklah tutor dengan orang lain. Macam setajul sendiri, banyak kali juga saya tutor. And then my previous supervisor, Cik Munif. So all of these people ni datangnya daripada my engagement from the activities of Archistar. So that's one of the reason jugalah kenapa in my final year I decided to take the position of Vice President untuk Archistar, so that I can sustain this kind of environment that we have. So I hope the next generation can continue lah this good environment that yang kita ada sekarang ni. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you Hazwan. I think there's 2 more questions. One from Miss K. Well done Hazwan, your rigor and enthusiasm really shine through. So what's next? Any project or areas in design that you like to pursue?
Okay, hi Miss K. So untuk pengetahuan semua, Miss K merupakan my main advisor dalam setiap competition yang I join. And she's also my advisor untuk ni lah, my supervisor masa my topical study. So memang banyak benda saya belajar from Miss K. So I would like to say thank you first. So my next plan is that I really wanted to go untuk continue my masters, specifically in Bartlett and specifically in Unit 10. Sebab Unit 10 they have this kind of macam brief yang mana diorang explore the idea of or the concept of what if, which is macam kalau you tengok tadi pun my presentation banyak I gunakan the terms what if, I try to redefine, because they try to look the architecture from a very different perspective instead of just a building. So benda ni pun saya banyak kali juga macam share with others and share with the panel. Macam kita in our community sekarang ni, kita banyak fokus architecture ni, kita banyak fokus more on the loops itself, but not on what goes beyond the loops. So I really interested to enter that unit specifically sebab I wanted to explore what's more behind the architecture itself. Yeah, for now that's my main short-term goal lah. And perhaps while nak pergi nak apply on that unit, and maybe I try to work with certain firms. I pun ada kind of macam firms yang I would like to pursue. So while seeking for scholarships and whatnot, and saya harapkan saya minta all untuk doakan semoga saya dapat tempat di sana lah nanti. InsyaAllah.
InsyaAllah. So I think there's no more question, but there's some praise from Cik Lan. Cik Lan cakap, thank you Hazwan for sharing your knowledge, experience and enthusiasm. We really got benefit from it, and also thank you Cryptech Studio and Akisa for organizing a wonderful and stimulating sharing session. So we are proud and fortunate to have you all as students. So there's a lot of praise from Kembung sekali pun ada juga cakap. So I think tonight's punya session is very meaningful, especially for juniors yang nanti akan head up to apa punya BSc kan. I think it's very meaningful lah. So I think we still have time, and I think there's no more question. Maybe Hazwan boleh share experience tentang competition yang Hazwan pernah masuk. So kita boleh proceed.
Okay, so I proceed with briefly je lah. I go through my competitions. So saya share screen balik. And yeah, thank you for the comments, Cik Alani, Cik Bung, and yeah, Kimi. Itulah, macam sekarang ni pun kita susah nak jumpa nak buat event. So I hope macam yang lain-lain boleh lah support all of the initiative yang kita dah buat so far. Sebab dia yang akan banyak bagi manfaat to the students. Okay. Okay, my journey in competition actually starts way back before I masuk architecture. Masa I sekolah menengah, I banyak juga join design competition. Ada yang I menang, ada yang biasa je. Tapi I tak jumpa 5-5 tu sebab dah lama sangat. And quite sayang jugalah kalau sebab tak dapat tunjuk kan. Tapi yang you see here on the screen is my first competition that I enter after masuk UiTM. Ni masa end of semester 01. Sketch competition by TRX. Dia minta macam kreatif punya ni lah, kreatif punya visualization of TRX punya development. So yang ni saya submit lepas habis 01, tapi tak dapat apa-apa lah. Just dapat the participation, and I think I really enjoyed this kind of macam sketching competition lah, walaupun nampak dia macam overboard sangat. So I proceed with the next okay, walaupun dia technically bukan my personal competition, tapi this dia boleh dikira as competition jugalah sebab benda ni it is a workshop punya competition, which is the installation. Kalau siapa yang aktif join workshop, then dia akan tahulah this kind of competition where we design a certain structure with limitation. So this is the first competition yang I join with our workshop punya team. It's called Lotus Floating Totem. So masa ni kita try design macam floating punya mechanism. So nak tengok macam mana the aesthetic and the functionality of this structure menjadilah. So masa ni memang banyak lah benda yang saya belajar. Sebab ya selama ni kita design structure, kita just design on paper kan. Macam kita buat paper, so buat mockup sikit. Tapi benda dia lain tau kalau bila kita buat one to one punya object. Dan kat situ baru kita akan nampak the relationship between our design and the real punya consideration. the detailing, the technical. So benda ni semua yang saya belajar lah daripada seniors masa join workshop ni, which is masa ni saya just jadi budak-budak yang tukang paku je. So saya tak buat pun design, yang buat design dia Adam and Lulu kan, saya. Adam from Andalusia and Lulu from Legacies. So ni among the gambar team installation masa tu. And then the next competition pun sama juga, which is installation untuk the next workshop, Kurusani. The installation kat sini, it is macam a folly untuk represent our kingdom lah basically. So yang ni okay, masa ni saya dah naik pangkat sikit jadi one of the designer. So masa awal tu saya dengan Aiman from my studio, we develop the initial design, and then after that kita orang sama-sama lah develop the design with seniors. So macam dia ada these dua staggering module swirling each other untuk represent the Kursani, which is a blood in a human punya body. So panjang lagi lah kalau nak goreng. Tapi I just go through je sikit-sikit. So yeah, this is the final product of the installation, where we GG juga kan. Macam masa tu kita cari siapa ada basikal yang tak ni kan, yang tak pakai. So kat bawah ni patutnya conceptually patutnya benda ni boleh pusing, tapi dengan izin Tuhan masa awal-awal sebelum hari judgement punya day tu dia dah dapat pusing, tapi masa dia orang tengah nak evaluate tu I tak tahu apa jadi, kita orang pun tak tahu apa jadi. Dia macam ada sikit problem with the mechanism, so it just stood as a monolithic structure lah. Tapi masa buat this installation ni saya stop at half stage masa construction tu, sebab saya at this same workshop pun saya ada masuk satu lagi kategori, which is di design open design punya competition untuk workshop, which is only open for BSc students or degree students from all schools of Malaysia yang join workshop tu. So it is a design competition where we need to design macam a bunker sort of thing, like a temporary temporary lah, dia macam a structure to accommodate a group of people dalam 5 ke 10 orang macam tu. So masa ni saya masuk sebab okay, this participation is between saya dengan my partner Shaza. So masa awal kita orang masuk tu just nak dapat experience je, nak try test belajar software, sebab masa tu macam masa zaman tengah 04 nak naik ke 05 kan, so semua orang tengah cari guru nak belajar software. So apa yang kita orang buat, kita orang masuk this competition. So at the same time masa this competition memang ramai lah orang, our seniors yang ajar di software, ajar macam nak guna Photoshop, ajar macam nak guna AutoCAD, ajar nak guna SketchUp. So this is among the first attempt of my software punya things. Tapi ada disclaimer yang this render kat atas ni bukan solely comes from me. Ada one of our studio mates yang tolong untuk the rendering ni. So we come up with the design and the 3D and all of the ni lah, the important boards and the render. And our friend yang from our studio dia tolong penerapan, dia tolong juga macam nak compose di render sampai semua ni. So ni yang artwork saya buat lepas aftermath of the competition tu. And alhamdulillah masa this competition we this is the model produced by my partner Shaza. So gambar boleh sikit. Tadi sebab rushing, so saya nak ambil je gambar apa yang ada. So Shaza dia memang very particular lah pasal model. Macam I come up with the 3D and the design, and Shaza is the one who develop all of our physical model. Jujurnya kalau you tengok all of my works, saya memang banyak bagi render, saya banyak bagi animation, saya banyak bagi buat kan. Tapi saya memang teruk on model making. So kalau kita tengok daripada saya punya result masa sem-sem awal memang saya agak low lah sebab saya punya model making skill ni tak kemas sangat. So lepas masuk software tu baru macam I really interested in software punya knowledge. So saya fokus more on that lah, macam try to produce illustration and whatnot. I try to learn more skills untuk render apa semua. So alhamdulillah masa ni kami dapat the first place. So macam masa tu ramai jugalah tak expect sebab ya masa ni first time kan masuk competition architecture and design competition and then dapat first place. So it's really blessings for us both untuk menang for UiTM. Ni muka poyo kita orang ada the hair kat belakang. Okay. Ya, ni overall ni lah our trophy and the model and the boards. Okay, so lepas saya menang yang tu, dia macam ada that ego tau. Rasa macam nak, I want to join more competition. So after dah habis je workshop time tu, saya terus try nak masuk Asia Young Designer Award, which is it's quite a famous competition jugalah kalau dekat dalam local schools. So masa ni saya try, saya personally approach Miss K untuk jadi my advisor. So I try to come up with a new design yang saya derive daripada design saya 04. Tapi dia tak ada derive. My design 04 memang totally lain. Tapi I buat design baru using the same site and the same typology of the building. Cuma I banyak main dengan form. Masa ni nuk lagi lah sebab saya banyak fikir on the form, on the aesthetic kan. So okay, ni nasihat saya kalau siapa nak join competition. Kalau tengok buat ni memang nampak tak siap sebab saya buat design ni at the same time masa tu dah start 05. So memang gila juga. Cik nak back. Dia hang sekejap. Okay, I just show here lah kot. Nak senang. So, masa ni saya masuk masa 05. So, nak pula masa 05 kita orang kena handle RIBA untuk the whole UiTM. So, memang tak cukup lah masa. RIBA gerak, design 05 gerak, dengan competition ni pun gerak, serentak. So, masa tu memang kelang kabut. And then, nak dibuatkan cerita, the submission of AYDA masa ni sehari before my first script. My first script tu konsep tau, untuk 05. So, I buat benda ni, I tolak tepi dulu my design 05. Dah settle submit tu baru I start buat progress for my crit. And then, memang masa tu saya teruk lah, saya dapat crit. I think I got B- ke apa lah. Sampai Cik Virus, masa tu Cik Virus jadi our story leader. Cik Virus dia memang directly hentam. Ni buat last minute ke apa ni? Untuk apa konsep punya crit tu. So tu one of the most important thing lah saya belajar. Try to not overwork yourself. Do something at one time lah. So buat ni pun dengan tak siapnya, so saya dah insaf, saya dah nekat. Kalau ada time tengah design tengah gerak, saya tak nak, kalau boleh saya tak try lah masuk apa-apa competition lain. Sebab saya nak fokus untuk one thing dulu. So yeah, ni memang barai. Tak dapat apa-apa, tapi masa, okay, walaupun saya design ni barai, tapi saya submit, and dalam UiTM saya seorang je yang submit untuk AYDA. So masa the closing ceremony tu, AYDA panggil wakil from university, dia orang panggil dalam 3 orang tau. So sebab saya seorang je yang submit, so saya dipilih juga untuk pergi ke closing ceremony. So dekat situ saya nampak lah macam all of the competition punya works being exhibited. And okay, kalau biasanya kalau kita tengok kerja-kerja yang mana competition ni, kerja diorang tak segila kerja UiTM lah. Macam kita banyak fokus on form, kita banyak being explorative on the teknologi apa semua. Tapi kalau the winning scheme ni biasa is a scheme yang simple tapi dia engage the root issues tu truly. So that's why I start daripada I go to that macam dinner tu, I dapat lah tengok kenapa budak UiTM based on my observation tak ramai yang boleh menang outside punya competition. Sebab kita banyak fokus more on the form, kita banyak fokus more on the rupa, tapi kita neglect the solutions or the issue. Dia lagi simple your design, lagi senang the clarity of your design tu untuk sampai kepada the audience, and lagi senang untuk you have the solution towards a certain issue yang you bawa. So benda tu yang saya try untuk ni lah implement dalam my next design. So okay, ni my next design, my next competition masa 06. Masa ni ini pun pair group, saya pair dengan my partner Gil. It is a emergency operation center for African refugees. So masa ni it's quite lama juga we develop this design with Miss K, and unfortunately kita orang tak menang apa-apa, tapi memang banyak lah benda yang baru yang kita orang belajar, especially on the simplicity of the design, how to macam appreciate things yang trying to bring more human punya solutions towards a certain issue. Okay, tapi masa I develop design ni ada lagi satu benda penting yang saya belajar, which is quite kelakar jugalah. Okay, dalam masa my early design development or my design research, I propose untuk kita redefine the elements tu as a storage. Contoh macam, why not kalau kita guna a series of structure as a wall. So macam wall tu yang akan definekan the space punya enclosure. So antara wall tu sendiri ada macam rak yang kita boleh letak barang-barang untuk barang-barang yang the helpers nak bagi dekat ni lah, to the refugees, yang the volunteers tu nak work with the refugees. As you can see in this elevation, macam this section dia ada macam a diagram punya structure kan. So actually this is macam a temporary rak yang mana orang boleh letak boxes atas tu. So dia akan definekan the space, and at the same time dia akan memudahkan untuk the volunteers bagi the aids to the refugees. Okay, tapi benda ni dia akan bawa kepada satu isu tau, which is benda ni Miss K and my partner sendiri brought up, which is the issue, how would you feel kalau macam you as a refugee, you ada dekat dalam this space yang enclosed with different kind of box. So after macam considering that kind of thoughts, kita orang decide to make it macam less of a emphasis lah. So we try to macam emphasis more on the macam bamboo punya structure ni, sebab it is one of the local material. Tapi yang kelakarnya tapi okay, lepas dah habis competition ni, it's quite lama juga untuk result dia release. Masa result dah release tu, kita orang tak dapat apa-apa. Tapi yang the first pemenang tu, this is the first the first winner tu, which is the exact same idea yang saya propose awal-awal tu, which is a series of wall elements yang ada box. So box ni yang akan memudahkan volunteer untuk bagi dia sumbangan kepada the refugees. So masa tu memang saya macam mind blown juga lah, sebab ni yang idea asal kan. Tapi okay, ni bukan salah Miss K. saya tak salahkan dia sebab reject dia saja. If anyone were to be blamed disebabkan the decision to reject the idea, then that would be me, sebab I tak be firm enough with my initial idea, which is yelah macam based on this study pun saya tahu yang in a certain refugee punya in every refugee punya camp, mobility is one of the main issue lah. So macam di structure tu tengok kan, dia memang very simple. Kau tengok dia punya floor plan pun kotak je, tapi dia take the idea of having that wall as boxes tu as the main or as the core of the solution. So benda ni dia dah solvekan the issue of storage to its roots. So sebab tu this kind of idea boleh menang, sebab dia memang focus on, dia memang have that clarity towards one solution. So kalau you tengok memang simple je, kotak and then ada kotak-kotak lagi. So kalau dalam competition, this kind of thing yang orang akan tengok on these solutions. So and again, benda ni memang benda paling besar lah I think I belajar. It is to be firm with your ideas. Betul, memang bukan salah siapa, bukan salah miskin, bukan salah my partner. It is my own fault sebab I tak be firm with my idea masa awal-awal tu. Sebab you kena ingat, semua yang you dah tutor, yang you dah pergi jumpa, you dah talk with the seniors, they can only advise you on your what to do. Tapi you yourself yang kena decide what idea or what design decision that you should make. So memang after this competition, memang saya banyak ni lah insaf balik. I try to macam lengthenkan the timeline of my research untuk dapatkan a very strong punya design solution. And tapi thank you Miss K for helping us. It's a very helpful session lah to be with you. Sebab memang this kind of project memang kita susah nak jumpa dekat dalam UiTM, sebab kita less appreciate on the macam apa, the subtle solutions kan. Like kita banyak bagi emphasis on the form. We less think about the materiality or the overall aesthetic. So benda ni memang banyak lah yang Miss K ajar masa we engage with this project. Macam how to study the different kind of materials, the construction of the bamboo, to give macam a sense of the spatial quality towards the refugees. So it open up our eyes lah untuk to see things from a different perspective. So thank you. And okay, so after dah habis 06 tu, I proceed with my internship, and then masa tu quite busy jugalah sebab kita ada masa 06 kan ada topical study. So and once again my advisor masa tu is Miss K, sebab masa tu Miss K dia volunteer untuk jadi me and Shazza punya supervisor untuk research. So memang banyak methodology of research ni, memang banyak saya belajar dari Miss K, especially on the macam nak buat design framework, nak buat our research framework. So all of those knowledge tu saya try pakai balik in my next design scheme. So after dah habis dengan topical study tu, saya proceed with this competition which is Archisia. Dia punya brief is to design to redesign your local public park. So in this case saya cari my local public park, which is sebab saya tinggal kat Shah Alam. So yang paling selalu saya datang is Taman Tasik Shah Alam lah. And masa ni dah start COVID. So the brief is to macam how do you redefine the public space in this time of pandemic. So masa tu saya pergi tengok dekat Taman Tasik Shah Alam tu. And then saya perasan jugalah macam it's quite dah macam sekarang ni dah kurang orang yang datang to that Tasik sebab of the physical restriction tu kan. So what I did was I tried to macam fikir balik, I did my research on the macam the statistic of the usage dekat Taman Tasik Shah Alam ni, and then I try to cari what kind of activities or program yang boleh kita guna untuk bagi orang while they are doing their physical activities, tapi at the same time diorang boleh jaga all of the SOPs and the social distancing punya consideration. So among the activities, sebab Taman Tasik Shah Alam is well known for its mencari recreational punya activities, orang jogging, pergi bawa basikal, kayak apa semua kan. So saya cari activities tu, and then saya jumpa I think one of the quite an interesting way to redefine the way how people exercise is a staircase. So kalau kita turun naik staircase, benda tu akan datangkan one of the macam form of exercise juga lah kan. So I try to take the idea of that staircase tu and then to design a public space yang boleh manipulate this essence of staircase. So apa yang saya buat is that dekat Taman Tasik Alam, dekat sini dia ada satu, masa ni tengah dalam construction lagi. Kalau tak salah saya, nama dia yang apa? Anjung Tinjau tu. Kalau siapa yang lalu daripada PKNS, dia boleh nampak lah kot. Dia Anjung Tinjau tu, dekat atas bukit sikit. So I try to redesign that thing into this series of staircase towers. Sebab okay, bila kita naik staircase ni, of course kita takkan naik beramai-ramai sebab staircase tu dia memang linear. And kalau kita design with preferred punya length, so it cater macam 1% at one single distance kan. So macam dia orang tak boleh ramai-ramai naik staircase in an open area. So I try to bring this staircase and I try to design the detail of that staircase. So apa yang saya buat is that I define macam okay, maybe orang yang datang ni dia ada different level of intensity yang nak try untuk naik di staircase. So yang the first level ni is the casual punya level, which is intensity dia saya design track dia saya bagi lebar and then dia punya riser dia pun saya bagi dia pendek. So that macam orang yang casual yang nak the experience of walking on a staircase boleh naik at this tower lah. And then for those yang nak difficult sikit, dia boleh naik yang medium ni. So I try to change the detail of the tangga tu untuk bagi to raise the intensity. And then on the third stage ni is where the athletic lah. Macam memang saya intended for people to run on this staircase walaupun tak di-advise. Tapi for exercising and for this idea, why not we try to macam propose instead of macam setiap orang kena beli treadmill kat rumah, why not if diorang have this kind of public space where they can run through this series of steps. So bila saya buat, saya design this staircase ni in towering punya manner, macam ada 1, 2, 3, 4 block ni. So on top of the block ni, I implement balik all of the activities yang pernah ada dekat Tasik Shah Alam tapi sekarang ni dah tak ada sebab orang dah tak ada datang. Contoh macam tai chi, macam ada outdoor gym, ada orang piknik. So benda ni dia akan bagi physical punya distancing sebab kita dah segregatekan the spaces ni in between the block ni. So and then bila kita buat dia expose, so lagi senang lah untuk crowd control. So maksudnya susah kalau macam tempat ni dah betul-betul expose. So kalau orang nak berkumpul ramai-ramai memang akan nampak jelas. And then bila kita buat this kind of macam open staircase ni, it provides a free flow of ventilation. So as you can see here, I highlighted what are the programs to be put on top of the this tower of block. So while they are doing their activities, they can catch the vista of Tasik Shah Alam. Sebab this pun is one of the macam the viewpoint of the Tasik tu kan, tempat yang elevation lagi tinggi. So by using only this simple idea of the staircase, alhamdulillah this project was selected to be the shortlisted competition, shortlisted submission untuk pergi ke next stage, which is the Asia punya stage. So tak silap masa ni our convener bagi tahu yang total ada dalam 14 macam tu kot, 14 submission from the whole architecture school dekat Malaysia. So they only select 3 project, which is from me ada 1, and then from UCSI 1, and then yang another project tu is a group project from IUKL. IUKL and combined with UCSI. So this project was selected to the next stage, Asia level. Tak ada rezeki sebab masa tu memang yelah, bila kita dah pergi ke international level, memang competition dia lagi fierce lah, because they are the best among their nations kan. So we didn't get any place, tapi tak silap saya masa saya tengok the shortlisting tu, I'm not sure whether my design or my design and in between of these two participants juga, our design was selected as the finalists at the Asian level. Tapi yang so I think that's quite step yang saya dah pergi towards my competition journey. Walaupun tak menang, tapi there's something that I learned. Not something, it's very lot to be learned inside this competition. So I would highly suggest that all of our students untuk join competitions, sebab competition ni dia ada dua je. Kalau kita tak menang, kita belajar. So dia tak ada istilah kalah tau dalam competition. Sama ada kita menang ataupun kita learn something new from each of the experience. So memang ni lah, I highly advise untuk all of our students to join as much as you could in any competitions after this. So after dah habis yang RKCA tu, saya pause kejap sebab masa tu tengah busy dengan Archifest, where I become the lead designer untuk Sansa. Lepas tu cuti nak masuk ke 08 tu, memang saya tak masuk apa-apa kot competition, sebab masa tu tengah nak bagi macam resting period, nak enhancekan my software knowledge and nak prepare mentally and physically for 08. So yeah, I think that's all my ni lah my competition journey.
Okay, thank you Hazwan for that interesting sharing on your competition experience throughout your study days. So on the behalf of our organizer, EUREKA ARCHITALK, I would like to give our full gratitude to Hazwan for actually accepting our invitation to give a talk today. And I hope a lot of the students, the participants from tonight talk session can benefit from what Hazwan has said, and maybe give some inspiration and motivation to all of us for us to join more competition in the future and improve our designing skill lah. And before we leave, we would like to have a photo session with Hazwan and the participant. So if possible, I would like everyone to open up your cam and we will take a short photo for our documentation. Okay. Alright, so everyone open up your cam if possible. So, ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Alright, once again, thank you Hazwan, and also thank you to all of the participants, the students and lecturer who joined tonight. I would also like to remind you guys that tomorrow, unfortunately, will be our last session for ArchiTalk, and it will be from students from the X Unit Studio. And tomorrow is actually a special session because we have 3 speakers this time from Master. So we will have triple panel for tomorrow's session. And the title is actually 5 questions with the X Unit Studio. So they seek to help people that are students, especially that want to embark in their journey in master education in architecture. So if you guys interested, you can tune in and join us tomorrow. With that said, this session shall be dismissed. Thank you everyone for joining. And before we leave, I would also promote our merch, official merch in the chat box section, and you can also check out our official website that we have done for this review before the end of our review session, which is tomorrow, unfortunately. So thank you everyone for this journey, and tune in tomorrow for our last ArchiTalk session. Thank you.
Thank you Azwan.
Thank you, Hazwan. Thank you, everyone.
Well done everyone. Good night.
Miski.
Siapa nak masuk competition boleh ambil I jadi supervisor. I will tell you what not to do. You just have to go against me. Alright, enjoy tonight's session. See you guys tomorrow, inshallah.